Welcome to The Talking Couple,
the podcast for real couples
looking for real talk
to build relationships that last.
I'm Deshawn.
And I'm Laurie.
We get personal about our marriage to help couples embrace the phrase,
we need to talk.
Hello world, and welcome to The Talking Couple podcast, episode number 105. And if you're in a committed relationship or looking for one, this is the show for you.
We face tough topics head on and share our own personal stories to hopefully inspire individual growth and a relationship revolution. And on today's episode, we are talking about having the courage to create a vision for your life that is true to your identity and then taking the action to make that happen.
Yes. We're going to share the single most effective goal-setting exercises we've ever done. And we're convinced you're going to love it too.
Yep. But fair warning, it is going to take some effort and some energy to really work through the process. And then, of course, commitment to see it through long term. But what's cool is the end result is a life you've always dreamed of. And the best part is you created it yourself. But before we jump into the conversation, we always like to break the ice a little bit. So, babe, what's new in our world?
New in our world this week has been dancing.
Yes.
We've started to choreograph or re-choreograph and relearn our first big performance together, which was super cool.
Yeah.
And getting through like the first, 10, 15 seconds of the choreography has been...
I was rusty to say the least, but it was cool. It was really fun and kind of sentimental to me. So I guess we should back up. For those of you that don't know, Deshawn is a former ballroom dancing instructor, and that's actually how we met.
Yeah.
And so we decided to pull out the old videos and find this dance that we really loved. And
well, you've kept nagging me and it's like, babe, I want to do it. And I was like, well, okay, let's find it. So I tried to go back and see if we had some old videos and finally found the final copy.
Yeah.
And so then it was like, well, we don't like that. We're better dancers now. And so it's in the works.
Well, and you left out the best part.
What?
We did a lift.
Oh, yeah. She's never lifted before. And we've never done a lift together, and you've never been lifted
overhead. No, I haven't.
So
yeah.
It was interesting.
So imagine us trying to do that in our living room with how many feet are these ceilings?
I think they're 9.
9-foot ceilings? 10-foot ceilings?
No,
maybe?
they're not 10.
Okay. Well, when I'm lifted over Deshawn's head, I could I was touching the ceiling. So that was quite interesting, but yeah, super cool. So we'll have to find the right time and the right space and the right opportunity to kind of bring that back out and unveil it again.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, so let's get into this conversation because I know we're both passionate about this topic of success in life.
Yes, that is true. So what does it take? What does it look like? And how do you go after your goals? Especially when life throws you curveballs.
Oh yeah, that's always the challenge, right? And we never see those coming.
It's like, what? Shoo! Oh, pow! You get hit in the face. Yeah, it's horrible. Horrible.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I feel, this overarching desire that we as humans have to really know our purpose and then live in our purpose.
Yeah.
And I think that's next to impossible to do if you don't know what you want. So if you don't take the time and really work through that and figure out what you want, how do you really live in your purpose?
Yeah, you can.
And I mean, both individually, what's your purpose individually? And then I also feel like as a couple, there is a purpose for, each couple out there. So I think you've got to know that too.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to have like a really good idea of what you're looking for before you decide to get into a long-term relationship, Like you can't just be like, oh, I think this is cool and I'm just going to jump into it. Not so much. You really got to think about, hey, what do I want first before you get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, I mean, unless you were lucky enough to find a partner who magically kind of wants the same things,
Oof.
which I don't know if that really ever happens, but yeah, it would be very helpful if you have an idea of really what you're looking for and what you want for your life. For example, we've touched on this before, but when you and I met, I knew, because I had really tried to figure out what I want. I mean, I don't even know how old I was. I always forget, but I was in my 30s when we got married. So I had what?
I was okay. I'm gonna let that one go.
Well, I was.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
But what I'm saying is that I had enough time as a single person on my own
okay.
to kind of work through what I wanted for my life and what I didn't want.
Yeah.
And I knew that I wanted to pursue the career that I was working towards. I knew that at that point in my life, I still wasn't sure that I wanted kids. In fact, I still didn't think I wanted kids. And other things as well. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to do all these things. And if I had gotten into a relationship with someone who didn't want to travel the world, who definitely wanted kids, who was more interested in marrying someone who could be, their wife could be a stay-at-home mom to raise the kids, that was going to be a really bad combination.
Yeah, definitely. Well, because you have one idea and like, I'm going on this path, and then you have another person who's like, oh, I'm going to take a ride here. You're never going to connect.
You're never
going to meet up.
Yeah.
And so that's just like a bad recipe for
disaster.
Exactly.
Yep. And that's why we laugh and we tell people, like, pretty much on like date number 2, I was like, hey, you want kids? Okay, good.
Nope.
All right, we can proceed.
Yeah.
So we tried to break this goal setting episode down into a couple of steps to make it a little bit more of a
tangible and simplify process.
Yeah.
So that way it makes sense. It's like, all right, where do I start?
Yeah. So step 1, figure out what you want.
Yes. Don't follow what everybody else is doing. You're not them. They don't have your dreams and ambition, and it's just like you don't have to live up to their expectations.
Yeah, that's big. I mean, huge, because it is so easy to think you know what you want, but it's actually someone else's projection or expectation on your life.
Yeah.
And so many people fall into that because either they just don't know any better, like they just haven't done the work to really question, whoa, pump the brakes. Is this really what I want? Or they just want to make somebody happy. Or, I mean, you hear about it all the time. You'll hear about parents who are like, oh, you need to be a doctor. And they're like, but I want to be an artist.
Yeah. I want to be something that you don't want me to be. And then it's like, well, then they get mad, and then all of a sudden they get resentment.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know what? Once you get to a certain point, you just got to say, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then you do it.
And I think we've definitely lived that out. I mean, even though we didn't, like, it wasn't like we were like, we're going to buck all of society's norms and we're just going to be different on purpose. But I mean, we have, like, one, we're an interracial couple. So trend number 1, we've broken. Number 2, we haven't had kids and aren't necessarily planning on having kids unless we adopt. So number 2, where we don't fit into the stereotypical norms. We up and moved from our
family
safety and our safety net and our family, moved cross country to pursue other dreams.
Goals.
That's totally, so I just think that's, you have to be able to you have to be willing to, like, look at that and have the courage to say, you know what? this might seem like the easier path short term because it's what everyone else is doing, but long term, is this going to make me happy?
No. You got to be able to take the risk.
Yeah.
You got to open up the door and say, I'm walking through it. This is what I'm going to do. Surprise! Here we go. And just like, because we have one life and we're not going to waste it.
I love what Rachel Hollis says. She talks about going after your dreams, and she's like, oh, your mother or your mother-in-law or your friend or whoever that says, oh, well, shouldn't you really be, they might not say it in those words, but they're projecting onto you what they think you should do for your life. And, she says, is your friend, is your mother, is your mother-in-law, are they going to live with your regret when you don't pursue those things? Yeah. No, only you are. So that's why you have to do that. And we laugh all the time so I went to a small private university for college.
Yeah.
And I always laugh and joke that like the number one goal there was to find a husband and get married and start a family, which is great. I mean, a lot of people did that and they have wonderful lives, and I have many friends who've done that, and it's great. But that just wasn't me, and I just couldn't understand how you would not want to pursue a career, or how at 21, how I thought I could ever find who it is that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. That just wasn't me. So,
yeah. Well, some people, I think, at that age, they think they know what they want, and some of them do. Like, I'm not going to say that you need to wait to a certain point. I know what I did. I waited until I was at a certain point in my life before I found the person I wanted to be with.
Yeah.
Forever. And so I made that choice, and that was my decision.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Everybody has a different journey. And I think we're just saying that for our journey and for us individually, our journey had us waiting till later in life. And we've said many times to one another that had we met earlier in our lives, we would have never made it.
Yeah.
Or ever even dated.
We would never met. Our paths would have never crossed. We would have just been like, oh, Dustin, no way.
Yeah.
But so, now that we've gotten, steps 1 and 2 out of the way.
No, so we actually went on a long tangent on step 1. So we're just now with step 2.
No, that was
step
okay.
2. Step 2. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's say step 2 is allowing yourself to dream big.
Yes. That's huge.
Yeah, it is. It is. You have to be, not be, but you have to allow yourself to shoot for the moon and land in the stars.
I think that goes to kind of what we were just saying, which is probably why you thought we already covered step 2. But I think it goes to where, our loved ones, our family, our friends, they want what's best for us. And oftentimes that's the safe choices, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
So when you talk about taking a big risk or allowing yourself to dream big, one, you may even stop yourself, because if you allow yourself to dream big, then you are risking a lot and you are opening yourself up to being hurt and disappointed. And some people don't like that feeling. And so they've learned over time through life to say, hey, if I lower my expectations for myself or for my life or for my partner or what have you, then I don't have to get hurt so bad, because I don't have this big expectation or this big dream that I'm aiming for. So I think there's over time we create this little wall of safety for ourselves that we kind of box ourselves in. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm guilty of doing that as well.
Yeah.
But I think there was something about when we met and we both believed in each other enough that
I think when opening yourself up, you have to be in a vulnerable state to make sure that it's okay for you to do so. And when we met, there was a huge barrier. There was like a roadblock, I don't know, like a 10-foot concrete wall that I was just like chiseling through. Hey, open up, hey. And so it takes time because, again, like you were searching for something in yourself. I was searching for something within myself, and it just so happens that we cross paths. You know what I'm saying? And so now I think like for people to understand what another person is going through, they have to go through something themselves.
Yeah, that's
or
true.
You're just going to be like, I don't know, like what am I doing? And you can't be okay with that if you don't actually work for what you want.
Yeah. No, that's true. And I mean, we just believe, and maybe because I don't think we're all rosy and like super optimistic. I always say I'm more of a realist, but we still believe in one another and we believe in what we're trying to pursue. And I've always felt, and I've talked about this on previous episodes, I've always felt like I was supposed to live an extraordinary life, not an ordinary life, an extraordinary life. And that's what I want for myself. That's what I want for us.
Right.
And to me, I am no different than anyone else. I am not special. I don't come from a wealthy family of privilege, of, I'm not a princess or a duchess or a what have you. I don't have a lineage of someone who's, politically connected or anything like that. But to me, that just goes to show that anyone can live an extraordinary life. And if you want it, and if you can dream that for yourself, and that your current situation doesn't have to define your future, because we have been in a current situation that is not extraordinary.
Exactly. Like you have to want those things. You can't just be like, oh, I wish that something is going to happen and I'm just going to sit here and twiddle my thumbs. And like you got to put a plan together. You have to be able to take the risk and do the things that other people aren't going to do. And you have to have the starting point to say, I'm going to start at point A and work and work and work and work and work and work. And then you have
Hence the goal setting. The goal setting. Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's keep going. Step 3 is key too. Like these are all crucial. But step 3 is making the mindset shift. So people can wish, to your point, people can wish and hope and dream, but if they don't make the mindset shift and truly believe in themselves, and we have to believe in each other, it's never going to happen, right?
No, it's never going to happen. And two, like, I think, sometimes when people say you have to make the mindset shift, like, what is that? Like, what is, my mindset is because I'm going to work hard, and like, what is that shift in their mind?
Yeah. So one thing that clicked with me was, I'll give a little shout out to Bigger Pockets and Brandon Turner, because I'm reading his book right now about rental property investing. He talks about making the mindset shift, and he says not, I can't, but how can I? So if you have a problem you're facing, not immediately thinking, oh, well, I don't know how to do that, or well, I can't do that, or I'm not equipped to handle that, to switching that mind shift to how can I do that? How can I work this problem? And I think that really comes down to, one, having belief in yourself, that you're smart enough to figure that out, and really having belief in each other as a couple. And I keep coming back to you, babe, because as you're building this business, if I didn't have the belief in you that you could do that, then that would be way harder for you as you're trying to do.
Well, like, yes, you have to have support and belief, and I have to believe in myself, my abilities, not just rely on, yay, my partner believes in me, I'm going to try and do something. No, you got to believe in yourself first, and then you start to create your path, and then you say, hey, babe, this is what I'm doing. How do you feel about it? I think this will be great, X, Y, and Z. And then we go on to creating all of the other necessary things that we need to do.
Well, and I think it's easier said than done to say, hey, I believe in myself. Because, doubt starts to creep in. I mean, we've definitely, I think I have struggled with this more than you, with this belief in this business, because we've been burned before.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh. And so it's so hard for me not to immediately revert back to the previous failed attempt we had. And those fears creep up. And so it's when things get hard and I get frustrated, I immediately go there
and
say, well, this isn't work. Let's just, and that makes it challenging. And so I think where we have now come to clarity in is having this step 4, which is what this whole episode is all about, in that, yes, we all have goals and we all talk about them. There's not a person out there that doesn't have goals and doesn't have an idea of what those goals are. But the process of writing them down, and not just writing down the big goals, but breaking them down.
You gotta go with
breaking them down. Yeah. Into actionable bite-sized items. What did you say? You can't eat the elephant. What is it?
No. The only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time.
And can I just say, we don't want to eat elephants, because we got to feed and bathe elephants in Thailand, and they were the most amazing creatures.
They are wonderful.
We're not eating elephants.
That's just a figure of speech.
But I just want to say we're not eating them, because they're so sweet.
Nope. Yeah. Well, an elephant is huge, and you can't just eat something you can't take on. You just bite size. Choop, 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 choop.
But not elephants.
Yes. Okay. So.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're ready to get to step 4.
Yes.
Which is goal setting. Hence why you're listening to this podcast. People love to start here because it's tactical. It feels good. I get it. But hear me. You got to work through steps 1 through 3 before this effort is worthwhile.
Yes. That's crazy. But, oh my gosh.
And,
go ahead.
Sorry, you're right. I was just going to put another warning out there that having goals and writing them down now makes you accountable.
Yes. And I'm scared. Oh my God. No. I don't want to write anything down.
Yeah. So if you share those with someone else or with your partner, you are now accountable. And it's not the hard part. It's the adult part of having, it's like when you take a photo, or I don't know if I can use that, but so if you're an artist and you draw a painting and you're like, hey, I drew this, and it's either good or bad. And that's probably not a good analogy. I'm looking at you with a confused look right now.
I am highly confused. But accountability is just where you have someone, you're not necessarily boss, but an authority to say, hey, look, it's time to get it done.
Which has been key, as we put our goals together and wrote them down, and we have them on the bulletin board in the office. We see them every day. And when I feel this way all the time, I'm like, I'm overwhelmed. There's too much going on. I can't do all this. And it's like, well, this is on the schedule.
Yeah.
We've got to get it done. It doesn't matter whether you feel like it or not, but we're doing this today.
Yes, it's got to get done. Yeah, that is definitely true. I know a lot of, for you entrepreneurs out there, that it's so easy to lose sight of what is going on today. And a lot of people have said the only boss that you have is your calendar.
Yeah.
Because if it's not on your calendar, you're not going to do it. And if it's not set as an alert or an alarm, and it's like, hey, 10 o'clock, you're going to make phone calls. And it's like, what am I going to do today? 7 o'clock, you have to wake up to get dressed. Nah, I think I want to sleep until 9.
Yeah. And even when you have good intentions, if it's not on the calendar, you get distracted.
Yeah,
Life is so distracting.
I got to wash dishes. I got to do the laundry. I got to go to the grocery. It's just like, no, I have to make money.
Yes. And I feel like it's human nature to find everything under the sun to put in front of the one priority that's most important. Like, oh, I got to water the flowers.
Yes.
before doing the most important thing, which is run your business or what have you.
Make phone calls, set up meetings, the whole nine.
And I think it's also difficult sometimes to support your partner, because sometimes your partner may have a goal or a dream that they're working towards that you don't necessarily
see
or believe in or think it's a good thing, or, you know, and that's where you've really got to have these conversations. And if it is truly the dream of your significant other, your spouse, your partner, you're going to have to come to terms with what they're working towards. And at the end of the day, you're going to have to support them.
I don't want to. I don't want to, because I think it's trash.
Thank goodness we are on pretty much the same page. And I have to ask him all the time, because one of our, and we'll get into this, but one of our big goals, or at least one of my lifelong goals, has been to have the freedom to live anywhere in the world. And so that may be outside of the US.
Yeah.
And that might not be your
something
dream.
that I want. Yeah, exactly.
And so when we talk about our goals, and he'll say, yeah, well, if we're going to move and this and that, and I'm like, well, are you sure that's something that you want? Because he's such a nice guy, and a lot of times he just does what I want to make me happy. But I always want to make sure, like, are you sure that that's something that you want too? Because we're talking about our life together.
Yeah.
You know?
But it comes down to communication. You have to put it out there and say, you know what? I don't feel comfortable talking about what I want to do. Then you have to get yourself comfortable and talking about what you have to do.
Or at least thinking about it.
Well, thinking about it is not going to get you anywhere where you want to go. You have to say, like, hey, babe, I want to move out of the country. Okay, cool. Let's put this down and see what that looks like. What do we need? And if we do that, can I still do
what you want to do?
What I want to do, and still make money and provide? Like, that's a huge thing. And I think a lot of people don't even get to that point. They just say, hey, I want to move somewhere. Why do you want to move? We got it good here. My family's here. Blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, well, y'all need to go back, like, to step 3 or step 2.
Or step 1. What do you want?
And figure out what you really want before you even jump to that point.
Yep. Okay, so we've said a lot. But why don't we go ahead? Let's take a breath. Take a breath. Okay.
More like take a drink.
Take a drink. Take a breath. Whatever you've got at home.
Sippy cup.
Okay. So if we have not scared you away yet, congratulations! We're going to walk through the couples goal setting exercise that we did at the beginning of the year. And wow, I'm just plugging Bigger Pockets through our entire podcast. So we love you guys. Hope you'll follow our podcast. Bigger Pockets podcast. I was listening to that one day on my way to work, And the host mentioned how he and his wife had just gone through, they went away for the weekend and they went to like did their own little retreat away from home and did a goal setting exercise where they planned out essentially the next 10 years of their life.
Yep.
And once I heard that, I could not get that idea out of my head. And I came home and I told you, and you said, okay, well.
And I was like, all right, well, let's get a hotel.
Well, no. You did not at first. You said, okay, that's interesting. And you were like, well, we can do that this weekend. I was like, no, we have to go away. We have to go away.
Yeah. Well, I probably did say, well, let's just hang out and do it here. And you're like, no, let's leave. And I'm like, okay, where are we going to go?
I said, anywhere.
And so I was like, well, we got work, we got this. What do we have going on this weekend? What's my schedule? And I was like, all right, we can probably do something Saturday after whatever, all the meetings and stuff. And I was like, all right, so what do we do?
So we ended up finding a place.
You found a place
Yeah.
that was like a couple hours drive. It was probably just like nothing, super cheap. And
It was nice.
It was definitely nice. We got the room.
Mm-hmm.
We got school supplies, adult supplies. We got Post-it notes. We've got Sharpies. We got pen and paper. We got our favorite cups. We got our favorite drinks in them.
Gotta have that.
And we went. Just like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And it was really cool. It was like a really cool experience because it was just us thinking and putting together the next part of our life,
Yeah. And getting away is key because it is that's why I pressed the going away, because it is way too easy to get distracted in your own home, whether it be the TV's there and you get tired and you turn on the TV, or you're like, oh, I've got that load of laundry I need to do, or if you've got kids at home or what have you. It is way too easy to get distracted.
If you have little ones, get a babysitter, or actually, you know what? The neighbors would watch them. No worries. Just like, hey, I'm going to go take a trip real quick, just like brainstorming, get my thoughts together, drop them off. You'll be back in like 36 hours.
Yeah. It took us a good day and a half, I feel like, to really get through the process.
Mm-hmm.
So we followed the Kick-Ass Guide to Goal Setting. And we really liked the concept of that one because there are 7 areas of life that they focus on in that goal setting exercise. And that really resonated with us because we didn't want to be all about the business or all about
it's just like,
finances or
like, let's use it as a whole meal, not just meat and potatoes, but I want some sides, I want dessert, I want every aspect of my life or our life.
Yeah.
And let's just build it that way.
Because we want to be well-rounded.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's go through what those 7 circles were.
So circle number 1 is our spiritual life.
Yep.
And we go through all of that. Circle number 2 is
your favorite.
Physical life. Yes. Physical.
Our personal life.
Mm-hmm.
The next one would be key relationships.
Yes. A lot of people probably have a hard time with key relationships.
Our job, or more specifically, my job.
Her job.
And then your business.
And then my business / our business because, hey. And then our fitness.
No, not fitness, finances.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I can't read finances.
Our fitness goes up into personal life, which is
that's
our
right.
personal, physical life.
Physical,
now I'm all confused.
It's all good.
Yeah, we're good.
Too much of our drinks.
Oh my gosh.
Not really. We gotta have some fun.
Yeah, so we love this process of starting out with someday goals.
Mm-hmm.
So the very first thing you do is you define what your someday goals are. It may be one someday goal, or you may have a couple of someday goals.
I think you need a couple of them. You
Okay, we kind of had a couple.
We've got a few.
Yeah, and what's weird is these are the broadest goals that you're talking about. There's no time frame put on this. It's just it's someday, right?
It's like someday I will go to the sun, even though I might burn up.
That was not one of our goals.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, it's a someday. Someday I want to go to the moon.
Okay, actually, that would be a good one.
You know, like that would be, you know, pretty cool.
So but it was interesting that was harder than we thought.
Yeah.
To come up with the someday goal. I mean, we had an idea of where we wanted to go with that, but those ended up being more of the 10-year goals rather than the someday goals.
So our someday goals are having complete financial freedom. And what does that mean? Pretty much I could just buy whatever I want, go wherever I want, do whatever I want, all of those wants.
Yeah,
and
live wherever we
want. And just not have to be like, oh my gosh, do we have money for this? Let me check my account. No, babe, I can't.
Or we have to stay in this town because this is where our job is.
Exactly. If we want to pick up and move, guess what? Peace. And then for me and my business is to personally help 1,000 families financially. And whether it be like their retirement, kids, college planning, helping them grow a business, that's just my personal someday goal. The other ones were both of ours.
Yeah. So once we had those someday goals, and I like to call them our umbrella, because that was like everything of those 7 circles we talked about, everything falls underneath. So all of our 10-year goals, our yearly goals, and our monthly goals all roll up under this umbrella of our someday goals.
Yes.
So we thought it might be helpful to sort of walk through 2 of the 7 circles to kind of give you an idea of what our goals are, so that you can kind of see how we broke them down from 10-year to yearly actions to monthly actions. So
Okay, cool.
So we chose 2.
So the first one's going to be our business and our 8-year goal, because we're rule breakers. We did say we start off with 10, but you know what? We're just going to shave a couple years off and do 8, because we actually there's a reason. There's a reason behind that, because 8 years is going to give us the time to get this one here from doing mandatory work.
Yeah, so one of my...
What is mandatory work, you ask?
One of my big goals is to be able to, quote, retire from mandatory work if I want to. If I want to. And that's like my corporate job, what have you. To pursue other things, whether that be continue that job if I want to, or do freelance work, or write a book, or work with you in your business, or pursue this podcast, or what have you. It's that I have the freedom to choose. Yeah. So we gave ourselves 8 years to do that, instead of 10. And of course, we can't follow the rules. So when we say our 10-year goals, for us, they were actually our 8-year goals. Yeah. All right. We kind of broke this down into a couple of different categories underneath our business. And at a very high level, we're hoping to build the Deshawn Laurie brand / empire. And so that's sort of our 8-year goal. And then at a 1-year level, we kind of broke that down into reading 2 business books a year to kind of like further our knowledge as we're trying to build our brand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and then getting into my business, which is with Transamerica. And so my 8-year goals are having 100 licensed agents, and then creating an annual revenue of $1 million. And then, my 1-year goals is just really focusing on my 90-day business plan. What does that look like? How do I creating that plan and putting it into action? And again, another 1-year goal is getting in front of more groups of people creating more groups, getting myself more exposure.
Yeah.
The monthly goals, which we're breaking that down even more, is just really updating my business plan on a monthly basis to make sure that I'm reaching these goals and getting to the tangibles.
Yep.
And then creating a networking group with my local community within the area of Los Angeles, is like really creating a group for me to
Network.
build connections and service more people.
Yeah, so kind of to, I guess, capitalize on what you just said. So if you're talking about, just to like further explain this, so if you're talking about at 8 years, you're wanting to have 100 licensed agents on your team and also have an annual revenue of 1 million that you guys are doing as a team.
Correct.
Then those are 8-year goals. And then how do you achieve those? So at a 1-year level, then you have to really follow that 90-day business plan at that 1-year level to work towards that 8-year goal.
Yeah, you know, like that's talking to more people.
Yeah.
Doing prospecting, doing recruiting, you know, really building my network of individuals and, you know, helping families and really growing and creating something that will last for
Long
us.
term.
Long term.
So that's the other area. We also have real estate, because real estate investing is on our radar. It's something that we're dabbling in. We've already got one. We've already got one property.
Yeah, we do have a first one.
We want to use real estate investing as a way to grow passive income. So our 8-year goal with that is to generate $75,000 in passive income annually.
Yeah.
And so breaking that down, how are we going to do that? Our 1-year goals are, we want to educate ourselves. So we want to be very educated so that we can make smart decisions. So 1-year goal is reading 5 real estate books a year.
Yeah, and then analyzing at least 100 properties, meaning that when you analyze a property, it's like how much money that you're going to profit from every month. So if you buy a property that's like 100,000, then you put 70,000 into it,
Or you buy it for
$70,000, and then you make your initial profit, which is like X amount of dollars, but what you actually bring home is a profit of $200 every month for that single family home, and if that's what you're comfortable with, and then from there you make whatever you need to.
Yeah, and I mean, I think just analyzing the property so that when it comes time and we find a great deal, we've put that time and effort in to know this is actually a great deal because we've done the calculations and we know the numbers and we know that they make sense for us.
Exactly.
Attending different meetup groups in the real estate realm so that we're, you know, networking with other landlords and with other investors and learning and connecting with folks that could be of value later on.
They've probably been doing this a lot longer than us, so we can actually get the do's and don'ts from them.
Yeah, which is, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then breaking that down then to monthly goals, we said as our 1-year goal, we wanted to read 5 real estate books a year. Well, there's a lot of books out there.
Yeah.
So one of the monthly goals that we felt like we could easily attack was really narrowing down that reading list and ordering those books so that we would have those, which we've done.
Making sure that you get the right book that resonates with you the most,
what your plan
is exactly.
And then starting to read those, so which we've done.
Yeah.
Another monthly goal is listening to podcasts so that we can continue to educate ourselves in that real estate world. And then lastly, the monthly goal, if our 1-year goal was to attend more meetup groups about real estate, then of course a monthly goal would be looking for those groups.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you gotta do your research on those. So
hopefully this is starting to make sense with how you
put it all together.
Yeah.
Where do you start from step 1 through 4? And so the next goal that we are working towards is the podcast. And I guess our 8-year goal is having 250,000 subscribers. That's what we're working towards. The yearly goal is breaking those down into individual episodes. So we're thinking like 24 episodes within the first year, and that's essentially 2 episodes or 1 episode every 2 weeks.
Yep. And then growing our social media following is another yearly goal.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, we have our monthly goals. So at the time when we made this list in January, we had yet to record our first episode. So our monthly goal was to record the first episode, which we did. And then another monthly goal was completing the About Us bio on all of our social media channels. For some reason, that was a barrier for me, and I just kept putting it off. So it was like, if I wrote it down. In your defense, you are a perfectionist. You have to. It's gotta be right. I was like, babe, let's just get it down. No.
And then let's just get it down. And it's like it'll be fine. No, we really got to think about it. We got to think about it, and then we didn't have a choice to think about it. We just had to do it.
Yeah. Once the goal was written down.
Yeah.
And we put pen to paper or Sharpie to post it.
And
we decided this is what we're doing. Then it lit a fire under me to actually get it done. So that gives you an idea of our business goals.
All of the money making things. So now, how do we get to the influencer / relationships or relationship / influencer goals?
Yeah, building those key relationships. I mean, I think that's important, whether it has to do with our business or just our own personal lives, because it's super important, I think, to have other people around you to help impact your life in a positive way. So, I mean, other couples who've been married longer than us that have strong relationships that we can learn from. Other investors and business people that are smarter than us that we can learn from. And people with a stronger spiritual, relationship that we can benefit from and learn from and grow from and be held accountable by. So this covers all areas of our life. Yeah.
You have to get to a point to where, like, are you willing to accept that you need to grow? It's like the old saying of when you water a plant, like you don't see anything growing, and one day you walk outside and it's like, oh my gosh, the plant grew like 4 inches.
Or in my case, the plant is dead. You had to bring up plants, didn't you, babe?
No, you brought up plants earlier.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Well, he loves to blame it on me that our plants died on the patio last winter.
Yeah.
But I think it was because we planted summer plants in the winter. Although you did bring one of those plants back to life.
I brought Bartholomew back to life.
Yeah, we named him.
Yes, all of our plants are named.
Yeah.
Named. But anyway, didn't mean to go on a tangent. So after the 8-year, we have created a like-minded community.
So yeah, we kind of touched on that. So our 8-year one was, like we said, building relationships with people of strong character. It wasn't about, we were intentional with that wording too, though. Remember, we said originally we had successful people, and it was like, no, it's not about, because success can be defined multiple ways.
Well, and two, it's like we want to understand someone's trials, like what are you actually going through to get to that point, like, because we're not there. We're not like the millionaires. We don't have all of these things, but we're working.
Yeah.
We're like
working towards that.
Killing it.
And we don't want to learn from someone who has cheated their way to the top or is of questionable ethics. That's not how we want to get there. So that's why, remember, we intentionally changed that
Mhm.
to say, you know what, people of good character we're more concerned about being with people like that than we are someone who has a Maserati.
Yeah. Like if you have that because you've done what you needed to do,
Great.
sweet.
Give us a ride.
Yeah. I don't want to ride. Just give me a call and let's talk. Talk it out.
So that was our 8-year. Then our 2 1-year goals were, how do we do that? How do we get in front of those types of people? How do we build those relationships? And so we talked about creating that like-minded community, which kind of blends over into that.
Yeah, they work hand in hand.
Yeah.
And then for the last one is to be more approachable and to initiate more conversations with others.
Yeah. And I think that one was actually, that was one that you came up with. Because you said a lot of times when you're out and about or you're at the gym or you're whatever, it's not that you are purposely not approachable, but you're just like in your zone and you're not really looking to...
I'm not really like looking to meet people or engage in conversations because I'm there for a reason.
Yeah.
Like when I go somewhere, like when I go to the grocery, I'm like, I have my list.
You got a one-track mind.
I want to get in and get out. I want to get in and get out. I don't want to talk to people. When I go to the gym, like I want to get in, get my workout in, and then leave. And I know a lot of people are like that too. And I think sometimes we have to sort of take a step back.
Slow down a little bit.
And slow down and be like, hey, you know what? Let me go and like do my thing, but still be aware of what's going on. Like, I think I want to talk to this person for X, Y, and Z. Or I think this person is really cool because I think they may be like me or whatever the case may be. And so for me, like I just, that's one of my things that I really need to think about when I go out.
Yeah, and I think we even joked kind of like, if you see somebody, we keep coming back to this gym example, but I don't know why, but it's an easy one. But if you see somebody, another guy in there who's working out and is like really fit, like you giving them a compliment or like asking them a question doesn't take anything away from you.
Yeah.
Like giving a compliment to somebody just makes their day.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime I get a compliment from someone, I'm like, oh wow, oh thank you. Like that really makes my day. And so even just something as small as that, to where you're like just starting the conversation and opening yourself up to kind of just even give a compliment was something that we kind of talked about.
For sure.
So that was just 2 of the 7 total categories. And like I said, this took several kind of iterations. Like we got through the someday goals, we got through the 8-year goals, then we took a break.
Yeah.
Then we came back and we did the yearly goals, and then we took a break.
Yeah. And then we did the monthly goals, and then everything is up and running. So it's definitely a process. You can't not enjoy the process. There may be some words that are exchanged. You may have to sit back and like really think about what the other person is thinking about. And so
it was fun though.
Yeah, it was really cool. The getting away part was really cool because it really made you think about like, okay, I'm going to this place for this reason. Not just because I'm going on vacation. Going on vacation.
It was kind of the first time we'd ever gone away to purposely work on something. And we sat out at the pool at the hotel and took over the picnic table. Mm-hmm. And we had one thing that was really helpful that I would recommend, and I think you'll see in the photo of our bulletin board, but we used different color Post-it notes for each of the 7 categories. So, for our physical life was a different color than our spiritual life. And then, in the corner we wrote whether it was an 8-year or a 1 year or a monthly goal. And then if it was one of your goals, we sort of put your initials by it. And if it was one of my goals, we put my initials by it. So.
And they all run hand in hand in parallel. So really good stuff. So awesome. You always got to make sure that you got to get on the same page.
Yeah, that's
with
key.
your partner. You can't just be like, hey, guess what? You go over there. I'm going to go over here. And then we try to meet in the middle. It's like, no, let's just run side by side, just like when we said in the beginning, I love you and I do, and all that stuff. Like just.
Well, and I think sometimes if you don't even have we see these goals every single day because we're obviously working from home right now and we have them on our bulletin board in our home office. If you don't see them every day, you forget. I mean, because we've gone back and I'm like, oh, I forgot about that one. But two, if you don't write them down, because this is what we did for the first couple of years we were together. We had these goals, but we didn't necessarily write them down.
So I wrote them down up here.
Or maybe we kind of had like these like 2 or 3 statements, broad statements that we'd put on our like bathroom vanity. But how do you actually get to that, right?
Yeah.
So the goal, the process of actually getting from a someday goal to an 8-year goal to a yearly goal to a monthly actionable item is huge.
You got to break it all down.
Got to break it down.
You got to break it all down.
And now it's totally obvious what we're
what we're
working
going towards, and we can hold each other and say, babe, are you doing this? Not really, I'm not doing this. Well, I'm going to need you to put foot to bottom and get on it.
Well, and we've had some hiccups because we've made really great progress in some areas.
Yeah.
And then in some areas, they've been sort of a stalemate because of
everything that's been going on. But again, you just gotta roll with it.
So we always close the show with questions or stories from our listeners. Mm-hmm. What did we hear this week?
So we have, would you be willing to share your experience being an interracial couple? Oh, that's a good one. So as far as, of course, with me and with us, the experience has been quite pleasant.
Sorry. I don't know if I would use the words pleasant.
Oh, okay. Well, it's been good. There's been a couple of instances in Atlanta when we first started to get really serious in our relationship, and there's been some times where we were out at dinner or just in a different
we're at the mall.
Yeah, we're at the mall or something like that, and then people are like giving you the look, and I was like, hey, you might get some looks, and you're like, what do you mean we might get some looks?
No, I was well aware. And I think I was more cognizant of it early on when we were dating because I had never been in an interracial relationship before, so this was all new to me. And we would go out, or we would do, and we would get looks. We would definitely, and some of them were not pleasant looks. But then, I have to say, and part of it now, I don't even notice. Yeah. And I don't know if it's that the looks aren't there anymore because being in an interracial relationship seems to be becoming a little bit more mainstream. So I don't know if it's that the looks aren't there anymore or if it's that I just don't even care and so I don't even notice.
Probably both.
A little bit of both. But yeah, it is interesting though because I do feel fortunate that we have had a mostly, as you like to say, pleasant experience. pleasant experience compared to what I know what I know other couples have gone through or experienced from either their families or their friends or complete strangers for that matter.
I think from there we can't give them too much. So on the next episode, let's dedicate a whole. Let's leave that where it's at, and then
let's dedicate a whole episode to it on our next show.
I think that'd be really cool. I think that'd be really cool to dig in and let people know how we're living.
Yeah.
Our lives.
I like it. All right, so join us next time on The Talking Couple.
Yeah, please do. Subscribe to our show with your favorite podcast apps.
And give us a rating and a review so that little algorithm will kick in and our show gets in front of more people like you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, until next time.
Get to talking.
Hey.
Thanks for joining us for the Talking Couple podcast.
We have a favor to ask. Please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to the Talking Couple. We'd love to hear from you.
You can also find us on social media. We are The Talking Couple on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.